Hello everyone, I'm Alan, also known as McLaren 2009, and today I'm back playing Derail Valley. As per usual, I haven't streamed for a little while, so gonna get back into the swing of things really quick. If I remember correctly, the last time that I played, I got this set up. Yeah, that's actually my what is that and why is it there? Okay, I have 38 and 16. Okay. All right, now if I remember correctly, what I should be doing is getting rails. That's off. All right, that's 13. Okay, so where is... Okay, there's only 4 of them, so... $28. Okay, there's 3 of them. Okay, so it's these back. All right, so all I got to do is go get my engines, get them over there. All right, main's clear. That's good. And my engines are over here. Okay. All right. Now this is going to be interesting because supposedly they changed how the slug functions. Okay, so we need to go backwards. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay. Got that one started. Now, I don't know how they changed the slug, but supposedly they did. And they fixed that. Okay, we do need to change the lights a little bit. Because we don't need the high beams on. Okay. All right. There. This one isn't on. Okay, they're all on now. Okay. That was a little bit bizarre. Okay. Now, like I said, something changed about how the slug works. So it might respond better. But we shall wait and see. So basically the plan is we're going to get our engines to the other end of that, take those over to the harbor, and then we are not at the right switch. And then we're going to go and get the new Micro-Shunter. You know, it's another one of those things that's kind of like a minor nitpick, but that is the headlight. Those are the ditch lights. Okay, maybe don't overshoot it by like a mile. No, that's only a couple of car lengths. That's not too bad. Okay. Alright, now as per usual, hop on the engine and ride it all the way to the end. Realistically, this is way too fast to be doing this. There we go. Okay. The really cool thing is, in a couple of weeks, I'm actually going to learn how to do this in real life. I'm actually going to become a remote control operator. So that's kind of cool. Pretty sure this is a public crossing. Although, unfortunately, I cannot activate the bell from this. Good, good. So yeah, I'm actually going to learn how to be a remote control operator in real life. So that'll be kind of cool. Granted, it turns out the real remote controls are smaller than this, yet they have more functions. Like, you can pretty much control every part of the engine from the remote control. Alright, so we hop off right where that switch is. Hop off around there. And then guide the engine back. Or line the switch. Alright. Let's hop off real quick. Okay. Alright, now let's make sure we are lined up. On one hand, that is a little bit better. Because the independent brake isn't that good. But it still works. So you set the independent, throttle up, release the independent, keep it moving. Now, in this specific case, we're going to need to slow down a little bit because we need to be under 7 when we make contact with the cars. And I'm pretty sure I set the brakes from this end. Yeah. but it was going uphill. Or it's going downhill, so it's speeding up a little bit. All right. Now we got that line to go, or we got that lit up the other way. Okay. That's being a little bit weird. All right, close that. All right, now in theory, there's one. Knowing how I do things, there will be at least two, but probably three. That one's off. Even if you set the brakes yourself, you want to go back and check at least three past it. But realistically, we're going to check every brake as we're walking by. The reason being, we're going to the end of the train to make sure we've got airflow at the back. So what you would do is, if you don't have an end of train device, like telling you what the brake pipe pressure is, what you would want to do is you would go to the last car and have the engineer set and release the brakes. And then if you make sure that the brakes apply and release on the last car, you have continuity. But since the brake piston, which is this thing right here, isn't modeled in the game, we can't check to see if it applies and releases in Derail Valley. So what I've started doing is just this. Go to the end, open up the angle cock. If it blows, there's air. If it doesn't, there isn't. And you got to find the problem. It would be kind of funny if I looked up into the skybox in the game and I found the constellations that I always seem to find in real life. For some odd reason, even though it's not always in the same place, hell, it's not even always visible, for some reason or another, I can always find the constellation Orion. Alright. So 28 is at the back, 13 is at the front. And it's going to C. So realistically, what we're going to do is we're going to make the cut at the Y. And we're going to shove those back into... Or what we could do instead is go past the Y, shove the three cars onto C1L, and then shove the 7 cars or whatever onto C2I. Then grab the ones off of the loading track, take them out the left leg, and then shove back into D4. Okay. Oh, wait, no, we cannot do that yet. I was just going to pull out, but then I remembered that we got a problem. You see, this switch right here is lined for the ladder. It can't be lined for the ladder. It has to be lined for the main. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be. Realistically, I could just come in here slow and just fix it every time. But no, we're doing this the right way. And the normal position for this switch would be for the main, or the through track. So we're going to line it for the through track. Alright, and that's going uphill, so we're going to need to leave the throttle set a little bit higher. This crane isn't that heavy, but it's still a bit of a problem. Okay. Okay. No, go off. Alright, now we gotta close this. Close this. Okay, I'm thinking about let's leave that on. Oh, and we're just gonna run through a switch. Now, it doesn't do anything in this game, but it does do something in real life. Alright, 600 amps. Yeah, that right there is saying this is a very steep grade. There are a few more, like, rules and things that I don't know too much about, because I'm not an engineer. I'm not even closer to being able to get to it. Like, how much amperage you're using. Real engines have, like, a cutoff. built in so they don't get overloaded and explode. Now, if I remember correctly, this turn should be like, okay, it's 70. I thought it was like 50. But we're still going uphill. And the simple truth is, not that. We will be going uphill until about there. No. Alright, that is right there. So we're going to go around there. And then basically once we get to this Y up here, it's pretty much all downhill. And pretty steep at that. So you got to be a little bit more careful with it, you know? Now, there is a rule that you have to wait 10 seconds between using the throttle and using dynamic, or the dynamic brake. And it also works the other way around, too. You have to wait 10 seconds between using the dynamic and switching to throttle. I don't know, like, the philosophy behind why we do it that way. Something about it puts like undue strain on the traction motors. But I'm not the expert on that. In real life, I'm a conductor, so I sit over on that side of the cab. Which is kind of funny because Derail Valley said, to hell with the conductor, they don't need a lamp. It's like they don't need a light. We've got a refrigerator and we've got the electrical compartment, but fuck it, we don't need a light. What do you mean the conductor has paperwork for the train? To hell with them. The engineer doesn't have the paperwork for the train. I mean, they easily could, but that's a whole nother thing. I gotta remember where the key is to unlock the garage, because I've noticed that I don't have the keys anymore. So I have to buy the key for the Micro-Shunter. But I don't remember where the key is. I think you get it from the machine factory. Alright, we're down to 80. And going through a canyon. Alright, let's kill it. Hopefully didn't hold it too long. It turns out there are a lot more things that are not quite modeled in this game. Like, there are things related to train handling that are not shown here. Like, the slack isn't really like pushing or pulling on you. You're not going to rip the cars apart. There's a whole lot of stuff, or there's a lot more that goes into this. But what is shown in this game is a lot more than any other game I've ever seen. So, like, right here, we can go 60. We're only doing 40, but the reason we're only doing 40 is because it gets really steep right around the tunnel that we're coming up to. And we don't want the train to run away on us. See, the speed's creeping up like that. Wait, no, not that. See, we messed up. Like, I should have already been braking after I crested the hill, but I wasn't. Now, the thing is, or the thing about a speed limit for a train, right? The first sign that I passed said I could go 40. The second one that I passed said I could go 70. Now this one says I can go 60. But here's the thing. That is not the speed limit for just the engine. That is the speed limit for the entire train. So from this engine here on the head all the way to the marker on the rear, and I forgot to blow for the tunnel because I got distracted. Such is life. Well, it's the speed limit for the entire train. So if any part of the train is in that speed zone, you can only go the lowest speed that your train is in the area for. So realistically, there would be a distance counter right here on the control stand so that we can measure, or we get to the lower restriction, and we can start that counter. And then once we've reached our crane length, we are no longer in that speed restriction, and we can go the next higher speed restriction, which in this case would be 60. Now, luckily, this train right here is pretty short. It's like 15 cars, 3.5 engines. So it's not that long. So we're not in the speed restriction for very long, but it's still worth noting that you can't go the higher speed until your entire crane is out of the area for the lower speed. And like this right here, I was kind of starting to get to it because I barely understand it, but there are a handful of places that we have a 400 amp rule. So right now we're at about, we'll call it 400 amps on the dynamic brake. And I don't understand like the reason that we're limited to 400 amps in some places, but I know that it is a rule. All right, now I think we have one more tunnel to go through. Except realistically, this should be doing fine because literally every engine and the slug all have dynamic brakes. And right now we're rocking 700 amps. So safety third. Although I would argue that since I'm braking and effectively controlling the speed of my train, I'm being a little bit more safe. But unfortunately, that is not for me to decide. So, as you can see right there, we just passed another 40. We're under 40. And then it gets pretty steep right here at the end. Like right in this section going up to the station. And there's another 40, so we're going 40. But we're going to go full dynamic. Realistically, you hit the horn and the bell long before I did. Now we grab this. Put that right there. Let's open that up. Where am I? What am I doing with my life? Alright, this is the Y that I was talking about. So we're going to hop off right here. I mean, I should have hopped off on the other side, but we'll worry about that in a second. We can just teleport over here. All is right in the world. Sort of. Yeah, I was totally before the crossing. Oh. That wasn't even all 4 engines. Alright, we failed in that regard. Alright, we'll just let it roll for a little while. And we'll figure it out. Drink real quick. Alright, we have 4 cars. Two. Perfect. Now we bring it to a stop. Set the independent. Alright. Now we go over here. We grab this switch right here. And the bulk of the train is going on to 2I, which is this one right here. But what the fuck is that doing over there? All right. Realistically, the bulk of the train, these 10 cars are going onto 2I, but the last 3 cars are going over to D4. So we're going to shove them back onto the loading track and just get them out of the way. So we're going to get them in the clear past the sign. Like, get them in the clear past the sign. That is unfortunate. It doesn't really show it. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it kind of does. Yeah, it doesn't really... Yeah, it kind of shows the switch point. Okay. All right, now this is where it's going to come in handy that the marker is on the last car, because when it starts shoving back, we're going to see that marker. In like a yard that's particularly dark, where there aren't any lights, you might put like a flare or like a fusee in the knuckle of the last car so that you can see it when it's coming at you. Now, realistically, all we need to do is just shove those 3 cars past the clearance point. So get like those 3 cars in here, tie them down, break away, pull forward, and shove the rest of them onto this track. And since we're currently going 14 kilometers an hour, we're going to want to slow down a little bit. You don't want to fly into a yard. That's just asking for trouble. Like right now, all we got to do is get 3 cars past this point. All we need is the 28 ones. So there's 1. Here's 2. All right, now the question is, did it release enough to just keep rolling like another couple of feet? Okay. So, these are 28s. So, what we do is set the brakes on these. This is a loading track for tankers specifically. So, it can generally be assumed that this would be as close to flat as humanly possible. So, close this. Put that over there. If my controller stops messing with me. And we go forward. And now that's going to dump. Okay. Now all we got to do is get past this switch right here with that car. So we can already start slowing down. Somebody once told me that when the conductor says we're at 5 cars, you should already be going less than 5 miles an hour. And then 4 cars, less than 4. And so on and so forth down. When you're down to 1 car, you're barely crawling at 15. Or you're barely crawling at like less than 1 mile an hour. Now, because of all like the crossings and things, this is why there are 2 remote control operators, one at the front, one at the back. And the one in control of the engine at that moment is whichever one is closest to see which part's moving. That's gonna be too loud. I'm trying to make it so that my videos don't get not claimed, but they don't have like copyrighted content when I put it over on YouTube, which is an interesting thing in and of itself, because supposedly when I did the thing for Streamlabs Music, I gave them my YouTube and Twitch channels so that they would know that I'm using their music. But somehow it doesn't work like that. Now the question is, oh, we're well clear. Alright, so back up a little bit. 1.5 engines in isn't really a problem. Alright, we'll do 3 just to be safe, because this is a pretty good sized train. I mean, I say that, but it's 10 cars. For being 10 cars, it's pretty freaking heavy, though. Okay. Oh. Alright, let that one dump. Alright, now we gotta run over to the station office. I mean, actually, we can grab these first and then run over to the station office on the way out. Okay. Alright, this is D and G. Alright. Now we're lined. Now, realistically, what we can do is, since we've got, like, no reason to leave this on here. No. Now, because it's raining, it's going to take like a little bit longer to stop. So you want to be careful when it's wet. I mean, you want to be careful at all times, but this is a specifically different thing. All right, so we go over here, shove this in there. Took way too long. Such is life. Okay, supposedly you can throw these out. But I could have sworn I did throw mine out, so the fact that they're back means something changed. All right. Get rid of these. .282 and Hazmat 3. I'm terrible at running Steam. All right. Now let's go back over and get our cars. We should be slammed into them by now. All right. Okay. Knock off this. And these are loaded, so even though there's only 3 of them, it probably wouldn't be the best idea to move these without air. We absolutely could, but I'm just not going to right now. Alright, now we need D4. Alright, so we gotta get to this track. I'm pretty sure 4 is to the left, I think. Maybe? This is literally what I do just so that I can shove the cars back into the track so that I always have the engines outside, ready to pull back out. I'm curious, if I grab my remote... Yeah, I kind of figured that was what was going to happen. The thing that I was just checking was to see if... since I'd already got the garage that used to have the hand car in it before they made it so that the hand car was unlocked by default. So I was wondering if, since I'd already had that key in my inventory and I'd already unlocked that garage, would I already have the Micro-Shunter? And it turns out, no, I don't. Alright, I'm pretty sure that's 6 and 7. Yeah, 6 and 7. Okay, so this is 4. Alright. Yeah. Okay. Now let's find out where my train is. Probably should have known where it was before I started moving, but we won't worry about these details. Is this goes to G and D, that goes to F. And F is the passenger terminal. Which, oddly enough, is where the store is, so I can go check there to see if the Micro-Shunter is there versus at the machine factory. Alright, realistically, what I should be doing is riding on the car. But, as you can see, this car doesn't have a floor. Or, rails or grab irons at waist high, so legally I can't ride this car, but we don't worry about those details in this game. Personally, I would... Okay. Let me just stand on top of the rails. The hell with it. Personally, what I would like to see from the game is I would like to see it where, since we have hands, if we could grab the grab irons and actually ride on the cars, that would be pretty cool. But realistically, that's probably not going to happen. Because that is a lot to code and deal with. So it's a lot of work for not a lot of benefit. Realistically, what I'm doing right now is a terrible idea for multiple reasons. For one, these are specifically rail cars. Rails are extremely slippery. As you can tell, they're pretty smooth. So when it's raining, you don't want to be standing on rails. This is just asking to fall off and get run over. And then what happened earlier was when I literally fell through the open floor here and actually got run over. Which, oddly enough, that is something that 100% can happen on rail cars. This is why that is like literally line and verse of why we have rules about what cars we can and cannot ride on. This car, we absolutely cannot ride on it. For this exact movement, I would be standing on the platform of that engine watching this. And then I would probably get off once I'm within a reasonable walking distance of this clearance point. I mean, to be perfectly honest, every distance is reasonable walking distance if you believe in yourself. But 3-mile train, you can walk it. It's not going to be fun, but you can walk it. Alright, we know 2 brakes will work just fine in here. The game says you only need 1, but don't believe their propaganda. It actually is in the game that if you tie a train down on like a grade, you're going to need a lot more brakes than you realize, because you're going to see them start sliding when you go to disconnect from them. $50, we did it in 92. God, that's $12,000. It wasn't even worth it. And as you can see right there, I released the brakes, or I applied the throttle before I fully released the brakes. And that's, I think, a perfectly normal thing to do. And it started moving. Yeah, alright. Yeah, that's Steve's garage. That's how you get the slug. I already have the slug. Oh, shit. Well, we left the train to its own devices, and it just took off. My people need me. I mean, I stupidly left the throttle set. It wasn't in notch 8, but... you get the idea. Alright, so it's been an hour. Alright, we've got enough time. I mean, I've got enough time to do literally anything. I'm off today. But the plan was to try and get the, not the slug, the new engine thing unlocked. Alright, let's throw on some independent. Alright, so we go into the roundhouse, patch these things up a little bit. Now, another thing that they apparently changed was they made it so that the slug can take damage now. The caboose and the handcar are still invulnerable, but the slug and Micro-Shunter both get damaged. But we're gonna put that on the thing real quick. There. If you're wondering what that's for, it's because I left the train to just run away going 30 kilometers an hour on a yard track. And now I'm probably going to love tap the hell out of that fucking buffer back there. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, it's still kind of it's still kind of weird about that specifically. Like sometimes you can't start it, sometimes you can't stop it. Okay. Well, then what the hell is this thing? Oh, that's to charge the Micro-Shunter. Huh. That's kind of cool. Alright, now this is probably gonna freak out. Huh. It didn't. It has sand? I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, that's actually kind of interesting. Like, you look at the slug, right? Oh, yeah. It's got sand. Crazy. I mean, it makes sense. Oh, and the sun's out. Nope. There we go. Now we need something going to the machine factory. Alright, so the only one I have left is Military 3. And we are not getting that anytime soon. We have half of what we need for that. Oh, I have almost $750,000 left on the copay. Marvelous. All right, let's see. What do we got going to the machine factory? It's unloading. Ooh, acetylene. Ooh, a lot of acetylene. Yeah, that's $100,000. 55 and 66. Or 64. Alright. E10. E1 and E10. Alright. Alright, we got that set up. You know, it sounds dumb, but if you don't stream for a while, you don't really have, like, the stamina to do it for, like, ever. Alright, so, realistically, what I should do is get my engines set back up again, get them fired up, and we can get them over to the E-track. Let's see, that's going that way. And we have E1 and E10. 10's over there, 1's over here. Yeah, that's 1. And realistically, this needs to go this way. 7, 8, 9. 10, 11. Alright, so this game is wild with the ambient sounds. I could have sworn it sounded like a car crash. Like when you hear brakes squealing like that, it's usually followed by a bang. Okay. Knock that brake off. Knock this brake off. Okay. Okay, we got the independent set. Oh, that's right. This one doesn't have an insurance thing. And the handbrake only gets set when you pay the insurance. And crew vehicles do not have insurance. Alright. Yeah, okay. No. No. Alright. We gotta go out here. Alright. Alright, that one's on, that one's on, that one's on. Oddly enough, diesel engines do take water. You would think they would take coolant like any other engine or any other vehicle, but no, we just use water. Might have like a dye or an additive in it so that you can identify it if it leaks, but it's for the most part it's just water that keeps the engines cool. Alright, so let's get this past the switch. And let's hop up here. If it'll let me. I think if the grass is growing through the ties might need to be replaced. Food for thought. Alright, let's hit the horn. Now, realistically, what we could do, since I have it set up pretty much for this exact purpose, what we could do is once we pull out with the acetylene cars, we can back up and grab the caboose and throw it on the back. But that's just so much work. You see, the caboose is set up exactly right there. So that's where I would need it if I wanted to hook up to it. Like, I used to store it on that track over there, but that doesn't work. Because over there, on that track, I would have to dig it out in order to use it. But this way, I don't have to do that. Alright, now I gotta hit the independent a little bit because we need to slow down. Because this particular load, these acetylene cars, acetylene is extremely volatile. It's not quite shock sensitive like, say, nitroglycerin, but it can just randomly explode in real life. Acetylene is wild, but it turns out there's a reason for that. Acetylene is what is known in organic chemistry as an alkyne. It's triple bonded carbon. And anything with a triple bond is extremely unstable and does not want to stay together. It wants to break apart into more bonds with more things. Triple bonded carbon does not like staying triple bonded. Of course, the brakes are on the other end. Right? Alright. Guess it's fine. Alright. So, grab this, connect that, grab this, connect that, open that, open that. Okay, check this. Okay, go forward. Alright, realistically, all we gotta do is get this switch. And then we're golden. So, as a compressed gas, acetylene is extremely dangerous. It's much better to use another fuel gas that we developed a little bit later called propylene. Much more stable and does not spontaneously explode. Granted, it doesn't burn as hot as acetylene does. So acetylene is better for a torch. If you want it to take less time to burn or to heat something up to cut through it. But the counterpoint is if not handled properly, it'll blow up your warehouse. Alright. So let's start braking a little bit. Definitely should have hit the whistle, but we'll deal with that later. Oh, great. That song's still here. Alright, we gotta skip that. Okay. Now, we have to slow down. Because remember, we don't just want to fly into these. Alright, we need this right here. We need to hang that. Alright, go in 5. See, even the game, it's not set up like that, but flammable explosive. Alright. Let's see, this looks like 3 cars, maybe? Smog. Half a car. Okay. Okay. Let's turn off that. Turn off that. And make sure there aren't any more. All right. All right, now, after I clear the lead or the switch at the top of the ladder, I hit the switch for the through track. I can start making my way up to the head end. Realistically, you do want to move this slow in a yard. And now this is a slightly longer train, and a little bit heavier at that. There's the sign, so that's the clearance point. So that means we're almost fully on the ladder. All right, we're on the ladder now. Now 6 is the through track. Notice how it doesn't have a sign. Okay. Let's get over to here. Let's see if there's anything going to the machine factory military base. I mean, there is. Alright, let's see. Where's the crossing? Let's get clear of the crossing. It'll be cool when these light up and move. I think it was implied on the Discord server that they want to make these light up and move. Like actually have the gate go up and down and all that fun stuff. It's such a small detail, but it's stuff like that that I really, really like. All right. All right, now let's see. Where is our train? It's right on the switch going into the roundhouse. So realistically, if we wanted to, we could tie down the cars, break away, and put the engines back in the roundhouse. But we're not going to do that. All right, center the reverser. All right. It's a little over 2 hours, so it's not too bad as far as time goes. So, as a bit of a recap of what we've managed to do in this stream, we got the train of rails from the steel mill down to the harbor. Got them put away, refueled and repaired the engines, paid the environmental fees, and got set up with some acetylene containers going towards the machine factory, which will allow us to go get the Micro-Shunter out of the garage that should be north of the machine factory. But since I haven't been streaming very often lately, I'm not exactly like in a position where it's like comfortable to do it for like a long period of time yet. And I chose to come out of the gate playing a VR game on top of that. So I haven't been in VR for a little while. Pair that with I haven't streamed for a little while. And I think it's about time to take a break. So we've got everything set up to go to the machine factory to get the Micro-Shunter the next time that I stream. Or more specifically the next time that I stream Derail Valley. Because I don't seem to play this one offline anymore. Like, I prefer to just do it when I'm streaming. And I still have a kind of chaotic and random work schedule, so I don't know when the next time that I'll stream will be, or even what the next thing that I stream will be. But this seems like as good of a stopping point as any. So, this has been Derail Valley. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully, you have a nice day.